Hey guys, this is Wave 618. It's the 29th of April 2018. It's currently 20 past 4 in the afternoon BST. Soon we've got a big game on television, Manchester United versus Arsenal, so I'm looking forward to watching Manchester United beat Arsenal. Starts in around 10 minutes, so hopefully we can get this video done pretty quickly. But I've got some important updates to make. You can see the title of the video is Bitcoin Bottom 25th of August 2018, which I'll be explaining in this video. This video is all about. I'm going to be looking at Fibonacci time, which is, I think, something that a lot of technical analysis seems to neglect, and I don't know why. You'll see a lot of Elliott wave technical analysts talking about Fibonacci retracements, Fibonacci extensions, only looking at price rather than time. So if you, for example, the big high-low here has retraced currently 61.8, found some resistance. This is Fibonacci retracement in one dimension, so this is looking at price. So really looking at the y-axis here in terms of Fibonacci, but not really looking at the x-axis, which is what we're going to be looking at. We're looking at time in this video. On top of that, you've got Fibonacci in a more dynamic sense, which if I just apply, I discussed this quite thoroughly in my last video, but I'll quickly touch on it now. If we put the Fibonacci EMAs, so these are all Fibonacci numbers here, except the 10,000, ignore that one. These are all Fibonacci numbers, and look at this, perfectly hits the line here, 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 and found wonderful support again after bouncing off this fib line several times. So the point I'm trying to make is people often talk about Fibonacci confluence by looking at Fibonacci retracement and Fibonacci extensions from a price point of view. I still see that as being very one-dimensional, and the second dimension would be to look at time. So therefore we're looking at the not only the y-axis, which is price, but we're looking at the x-axis, which is time. And then but those are both quite static Fibonacci levels, because they're calculated by looking at Elliott waves that have happened in the past. Yeah. Whilst the Fibonacci EMA, that's a more dynamic use of Fibonacci, in the sense that it will move after each new candle is formed. So again, that's like a third dimension. We've got two static dimensions in price and time, and the third Fibonacci dimension is the EMA, which is more dynamic. So it's looking at the confluence of all these Fibonacci's that can really help adapt to your trading. And yeah, so in this video, I'm going to focus more so on. Let's take these EMAs off. It's making a bit of a mess of the chart. We're going to focus more on Fibonacci time in this video. I've spoken at length about Fibonacci price in a lot of my videos, and right now it's starting to look quite difficult to make a forecast as to what price is going to do, looking purely at a Fibonacci price point of view and an Elliott wave point of view. It's looking rather messy, and I feel like it requires an element of bias in order to forecast these Elliott wave moves right now, which is not something I like to do. As soon as you find that you're being biased towards making a particular Elliott wave count, you should really question, whether it's worth being in the market or not. And right now, I'm certainly not trading this because I don't like the look of it. I had been mentioning this all being a WXY pattern, with this being W. This was our first corrective pattern with a 5, 3, 5 down, which was a zigzag. And then we had an X wave. Well, we're talking about the X wave not yet completing. So we were talking about this being an A, this is B, so 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and then 5 waves up to X before price comes down further. So that would be a 3, 3, 5 setup, which is what you see in a regular flat or a running flat pattern. And we were looking at prices coming to around 11,500 or 12,000. But I'll tell you what, the market is looking very weak. I'm not sure it's going to make it this high. And yeah, I could see it rolling over before then. But yeah, as I say, Fibonacci time, the way I want to first of all justify Fibonacci time is looking at some previous price action. For that, we're going to look on the Mt. Gox exchange, all the way back, looking at Bitcoin from the Genesis. So that is looking at, it was around, I think 17th of July 2010 is where the data came in. And so this was wave 1, 2, finished around here, wave 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we had 5 waves up, making a larger wave 1 on a larger degree, and I believe wave 3 of that larger degree finished at $20,000 that we saw a couple of months ago, and so it sounds like we're in a wave 4 at the moment. Now that wave 4 shouldn't come down lower than the top of wave 1, which is around $1,200. So I don't think price is going to come that close to $1,200, but it's worth noting that that would invalidate the whole wave count if price came below $1,200. Now, let me just show you a little bit about Fibonacci time. So I've put these dates on here just so it saves having to zoom in every 2 seconds to look at where each wave starts and ends. But essentially, we're going to start wave 1 from here. The top of wave 1 is here, and I've called that wave 1 high, 8th of June. Wave 2 was 18th of November. So just to quickly look at that, so this is 8. So it needs to be slightly adapted there. Let me just zoom out slightly, get that back. So wave 2. Okay, because actually I'm looking at, okay, let's zoom in again. I actually think this was the main low and this was a retest of the low. So anyway, and the date for that would be 19th of October. Okay, so let's remember that 19th of October. So wave 1. So to plot Fibonacci time, I use this tool here. So it's a Fibonacci extension tool. And when I'm looking at adjacent waves, for example, wave 1 and wave 2, or wave 3 and wave 4, I will plot it as follows. So let's zoom in a little bit here. So wave 1 starts here, finishes here, and then I'll click again to say I'm extending the wave from this level. Yeah. Now I see the bottom being here where the 0.382 extension of wave 1 is, and I believe this was a retest of that low. So hits the 0.382 very nicely. So this is where we would start our count for wave 3. So the date here is around 18th of October. Okay, so let's take that off. So if wave 3 starts on 18th of October, and again we plot our fib time, 18th of October is here. Yep. And then end of wave 3 here, and just click again to extend from there. So I'm saying wave 4 actually finished around here at the 0.236 fib extension of wave 3. And you can see wave 4, quite typically with wave 4, you get a lot of sideways movement rather than a sharp zigzag down. And that looks like what we saw in this wave 4 here. It's looking like a bit of a triangle motion here. So I think when you go in on the 4 hourly, you can actually see 3 waves down, 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, and then a breakout. So it looks like a triangular type sideways pattern here. And as I say, it looks like price broke out there. And this wave 4 comes to around 13th of August. So let's keep that in mind when we try and project where wave 5 will finish. So 13th of August was where wave 4 finished. So yeah, when I previously forecasted, I said when I was looking at it, it was looking like wave 5 is actually a 0.382 extension of wave 1. So we often compare wave 1 and wave 5 in terms of Fibonacci. So just removing that one now. If we do fib time, just to look at wave 1. So that's our wave 1. And then we extend that from where wave 4 finished, which we said was 13th of August. That'll do. Okay, that's not come out perfectly. It should be a 0.382, which means we probably didn't find the end of wave 4 perfectly. But when I was looking at it previously, this is 0.382 was lining up very nicely with the top of wave 5. So why is that slightly out of place? Okay, but that's the gist of it. You have to play around with it. You have to make sure you hit the dates on point. Yeah, if you're going to go off these fib levels, you have to hit the candles exactly. So this is just an illustration how we plot Fibonacci time, the ratios that we use. So the same as with the price retracements and extensions, we still look at these Fibonacci ratio figures. So 0.236, 0.382, 0.618, the 1-to-1 ratio, and then 1.236, 1.382, 1.618, 2.618, 4.236, and you've got 6.85. So all these ratios can get hit. Yeah, so you should have those all applied to your settings. When you see this goes up to 1.618, 2.618, 4.236. Yeah, so that's how I plot my lines, and for the more significant fib levels I do these bold dotted lines just so they stand out, so the 0.618, the 1.618, 2.618. But yeah, I'm just illustrating here how to plot Fibonacci time, how these Fibonacci ratios are getting hit, and prices responding to these Fibonacci ratios when we plot them on the time scale. Alright, so looking at that, I'm saying we could be on a wave 4 on a larger degree, and as you can see in wave 4, there's a lot of sideways movement. And with this wave 4, it came to the 0.236 of wave 3. So if we're going to say that history is going to repeat itself, then we can expect a similar story with Bitcoin at present time. So I've plotted it. So I've plotted it already. So fib extension started at the bottom here. You can see this was the bottom, and then I extended it up to the top, which would have been here, and then just plotted another point from there to extend it. And you can see that the 0.236 actually comes to here, which is saying 26th of August, but I'm pretty sure last time I checked it was 25th of August there. Yeah. So that would be the 0.236 fib retracement of wave 3. So basically what it's saying is the distance, the duration from here to here is 0.236 of the time from here to here. Yeah, and that is a Fibonacci ratio number, 0.236, and that's why it would be reasonable to wait at least at a bare minimum for price to come to here. It could even be longer, but the last wave 4 on the lower degree, as we mentioned on that Mt. Gox chart, came to the 0.236. So certainly I wouldn't be looking to go long until we have at least hit this point. And as I said, there was a lot of sideways movement. So this could, rather than making a new low, it could come down, it could just keep going sideways until it hits this level here. So it's certainly not something I'm particularly interested in trading at the moment. The altcoins, of course, are moving a lot more dramatically. They always do because they're lower market caps. Yeah, I don't like the way it's not very nice to trade Bitcoin at the moment. There's very little volatility in the market, which makes it very difficult to trade. It's very choppy. There's no real trends developing, which means there's not any major money to be made unless you're trading intraday, which is not something that I'm a fan of. I'm more of a swing trader. Yeah, I'm staying clear of the market for the time being, although I am watching it carefully, just because when this time comes, I'm expecting the trade of the century. You know, I'm going to be long. I'm going to be looking to go long at this time, so 25th of August. Of course, I'll be looking at the setup, so if I can't see any obvious pattern finishing at this level, I'll then be looking to see if price is going to go on even longer, correcting. But I think this is a reasonable time to suggest that Bitcoin will start to move up. So as I say, it could make a lot of sideways movement, or it could make another low. We were talking about it coming down to 4,300 in previous videos, purely because that is where the 78.6 retracement is, around $4,243 $100, and yeah, so it could come down to here. Likewise, it may find a lot of difficulty breaking this low at $6,000 purely because there's a huge amount of volume coming in. Yeah, so I'm more certain about the time rather than the price, to be honest. This is what I'm looking at more so than this. Yeah, I'm looking more at price, at time rather than price. We've got a long way to go. There's no reason to get impatient right now. Yeah, so that's what I'm waiting for. In terms of what's happening on a shorter time level, as I say, I was looking for price to come up to here. We had the CME, or the futures close, on the 27th, Friday the 27th, and I was expecting we could maybe see price get up to this level by the 27th, and that would be an excellent reason for it to then turn around, you know, a great catalyst for it to turn around. But it just didn't happen because the market's looking very weak to me. It's found resistance at this 61.8 retracement of this leg down, and we may just see a lot of sideways movement up until we get here. Alternatively, it could roll over, come down to the 4,300. If we apply our exponential EMAs, so this one, and on the 4-hourly chart, they are the most accurate. So I was talking about, you can see it's alternate fib levels that get hit. So this was the thin orange line, corresponds with the 377, and then we hit the thin green line, which was the 987. So it's alternating. It misses one fib level, and it goes to the next. And then it misses this one and goes to this one, 2584, which is the thin blue line, which is this one. I found a lot of support later on at that level. And then the next line to hit would be the thin black line, which is the 6765 EMA. And I explained in my last video how I expect this line to keep coming up, so that when it does get hit, it is around the 4,300 level, which is that 78.6 retracement. So it looked like a reasonable place for it to come down. However, doesn't necessarily need to get hit. This line may obviously needs to get tested again, which I'm sure it will do. But I'm waiting up until the 25th of August to see these, to see really what happens. So that's just looking at Bitcoin today from a Fibonacci time point of view. I hope that gives you basically another string to your bow in terms of how you can assess the markets. Rather than just looking at Fibonacci from a price point of view, you can now look at it from a time point of view, and for a more dynamic way of looking at it, you can use these EMAs, which, as I say, the EMA changes as new candles are formed. So further gives you more Fibonacci confluence and a bit more to your game when using your technical analysis. But as I say, the market's here, very choppy, very indecisive. It is within these trend lines at the moment, but whether it's going to stay within these lines, I'm not sure. Yeah, very difficult to call. I really would have thought it might have hit this line by now, but it's not to be. It's all looking very corrective, and I wouldn't be surprised if it rolled over soon. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. The video was mainly to just highlight Fibonacci time rather than talk about Bitcoin on the shorter time frames today. So I hope that's been useful. I want to say a massive thank you to all my subscribers. I've actually hit the 1.618 thousand subscribers today, so that's pretty interesting. So next target would be the 2.618 thousand, I suppose. So hopefully with your support, with your ever-growing support, that won't be too long. Massive thank you to you all. Hope you've enjoyed the content. So we're waiting for the 25th of August, but in between now and then, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin further, because obviously a lot can change. If some more obvious Elliott wave patterns develop, there may be some shorter time frame trades developing during that time. But as I say, the bulk of my portfolio is, or the bulk of my account is waiting for the 25th of August. Alright guys, going to leave it there. I'll wrap it up now, and yeah, please, if you're enjoying the content, like, subscribe and share. Alright guys, take care.